shoes. For your sport shows, updates, and interviews. The only way is the right way, I might say. Nobody doing it better, y'all some lightweights. Malik Wright, up all day and all night, pushing all the buttons up to something till it's alright. He looking at it from all sides and angles. Got a stripes on his body like he played for the Bengals. Oh man, there's no one discussing it. They came, they stayed, they either did it or done it. Man, I love it, cause all they ever do is win. So kick back, relax, the TWSN.
Shout out Young Swish.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of State of the Jungle with Malik Wright, presented by TWS. And I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host. As always, we've got Evan, we've got Logan. We've got our YouTube manager, Jimmy, joining us on the couch again today. But we've got the return of the prodigal son, the guy, my best friend, Danny Alameda, is finally back on State of the Jungle.
I appreciate it.
Let me just say this. You're the only guy that I know that gets a 4-month vacation. You're the only guy I know that got a chance to be on the beach, hang out, kick your feet up, the whole 9 yards.
Didn't go to the beach one
so
time.
You didn't take so basically what you're saying, that phone call with me, you had a phone call.
Okay, I went to record a video. That's true.
So you did go to the beach.
I did.
Okay.
I didn't go in the water.
All right. Okay. I just want to make sure we're clarifying that. Make sure we're not lying.
To be clear, that counts.
Right.
That does.
If your feet touch sand, that counts.
That's fair.
But welcome back to the party, Daniel. We're excited to have you back, man. We are appreciative of you being back. He was doing a lot of work behind the scenes, literally behind the scenes on State of the Jungle to make sure we had a lot of success. And we like I told y'all, we have a huge football season planned. We have a huge football season planned, and we get to do things our way. We get to do things the right way. We've got so many giveaways that we are planning to do, more ways to try to incorporate you guys, include you guys in everything that we do. And we appreciate you guys for spending your Wednesday evenings with me and the crew as always. Can you guys just do us a huge favor? Give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content from the TWSN studios. Without further ado, boys, it's week one. It's week one for the first time, and we get to finally talk about true Bengals football. There's a lot to look forward to. Evan's new segment is debuting this week on the YouTube channel, Know Thy Enemy. I mean, when I say it's a big season we've got planned, we've got a big season planned. It's funny. We launched the morning show this past week too, and when people saw Daniel jump up on the show, they said Daniel had to get the contract right. We had to get the Daniel. They said he was holding out all summer, Evan. They said Daniel was holding out all summer.
Daniel was, he was holding out.
Showed up.
He did the Trent Williams.
He showed up week one. He showed up week
practice, no grind.
Man, listen. He took time off. He got the contract extension he was waiting for. Let's see if he does it again next summer. We'll see. But without further ado, let's look ahead to the New England Patriots, guys. It's a big game for the Bengals. It's a big game because they're opening up at home. Obviously, it's an orange out. I won't be there, but I'll be obviously going live at the end of the game and doing our recap show that we usually do.
Will you be in orange?
I will not be in orange. But I'll be rooting for my brother-ins who will be in orange and sister-ins who will be in orange. But let's talk about it, Lo. Let's talk about that game against the New England Patriots, and let's talk about the how we see that playing out. Because the title of today's show is, do we expect the Bengals to dominate? Right? It's hard to dominate any team in the National Football League, but I feel like the Bengals couldn't have asked for a better matchup. Rookie head coach, right? You got your veteran quarterback, but you know what Jacoby Brissett is at this point in time. What are you guys' thoughts on the Bengals opening up against the New England Patriots? So what are you expecting this Sunday? Without further ado, I usually start with Logan. I usually start with Evan. I'm going to start with Daniel.
Wow.
The floor is yours.
A little special entrance.
Well, let's be real. You also grew up a Patriots fan.
I did.
So we're going to be honest, and we're going to have you speak your truth, so to speak.
No, I definitely will. And just to address that, I did grow up a Patriots fan, and
now they suck, and he's a Bengals fan.
No. If you want the honest story, I was a huge fan of a quarterback by the name of Mac Jones, and they did my boy dirty, respectfully.
I thought it was gonna be a whole Tom Brady spiel, like and then he retired.
I was a huge fan of Mac Jones.
No, okay. Before being honest, real quick, I grew up a Patriots fan, but I wasn't invested. Respectfully, it's like we're winning so much, and it's like the only team I actually was invested in was Celtics. Like I can't remember a Patriots regular season game, but that's besides the point. When I look at this game, if there's one thing I want to start off with is this is the game for the defensive line, for the young guys to show up. And that's the biggest point I want to touch on is the Patriots offensive line respectfully sucks. It is bottom 3 in the league. Look at them in preseason. Look at, everything that they've done, what they've added in, the offseason. It's a bottom 3 unit. And it's an issue when you have weapons like 2 rookies, when you don't have a star wide receiver, when you have a tight end who was banged up in the offseason. So I'm really looking at the Bengals defensive line. I need some people to step up outside of Trey Hendrickson, because how I view this is if they don't do it this week, and obviously it's a start of a season, but it's going to be a tough going for the rest of the season, because that's the unit I look at that can potentially hold the Bengals back from making a Super Bowl. The defensive line, the pass rush wins football games. And number one, that's what I'm looking at. I think if the Bengals defensive line should dominate Jacoby Brissett in the pass game. And the only way I really view the Patriots really win in this game is if they establish the run. Right away, they establish the run, get Jacoby Brissett in a rhythm. And that's the realistic path I can see. Okay, the Patriots win week 1. But besides that, if the Bengals take care of business and they should against that offensive line, it should be good.
Jimmy, what are your thoughts? You're sitting right there next to Daniel. I figured I'd let you chip in.
I do expect the Bengals to dominate. Joe Burrow's coming back from his injury. He should be ready week 1. I'm excited to hopefully see Jamar out there and play. He just returned to practice today. Mike Gesicki, I'll put the bet down for his touchdown prop. So
where'd you hear that from?
Where'd you hear that from? Some guy, Malik Wright. But yeah, I'm like Daniel said, the only way I could see us losing is if they establish the run, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Patriots right now are kind of a one-trick pony and Ramondre Stevenson, because they got a lot of young moving parts. You got Jalen Polk, new wide receiver. Demario Douglas was one of their wide receivers from last year who was decent. So I'm expecting the Bengals to go out and get a big dub here on Sunday.
Logan and Evan, is there anything else that you guys want to add? Let's we talked about what we expect the Bengals to do. Where do you think the Patriots can take advantage of the Cincinnati Bengals at? And you kind of touched on a little bit, know thy enemy, as to sort of where some of their strong points are on the football team. But I want to change the question up. Evan, I want you to touch on this a little more. Where do you see a point of, I guess, emphasis the Patriots can place in this game against the Bengals, where you could probably see them exploit some things and make some things work for them?
I think anytime that you're like, let's just call it what it is, you're the worst team, right? You need to find a way to introduce variance into the game, right? Because that's going to give you more opportunity to win. If you just kind of play conservative and let things play out, eventually they're Jimmys and Joes, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, all these guys are probably going to end up beating out your guys who are just injured, lacking depth, just lacking experience. Like, again, asking anybody who's not a quality left tackle to go up against Trey Hendrickson all game is a recipe for disaster. It's tough, man. So you got to do some crafty blitzes. You got to do some weird, funky coverage stuff. You got to just try and change the picture pre versus post snap. Just try and make Joe Burrow think for a second. I would also try and say, hey, way I could see that this kind of starts off slow for the Bengals is if they try and lean on the run game and say, hey, we're going to use our Zach Moss, Chase Brown combo, and we're going to protect Joe for a little bit and just let him get his feet wet and have a quarter or two. And then we try and run the ball. Well, they've got a lot of great run defenders. Anthony Jennings was top 5 in run stop rate and first overall in run stops last season. Keon White has come a long way since he first started as a rookie and looked pretty good in flashes last year. I know they're missing Christian Barmore, but Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, these are 2 of the better safeties at run defense in the entire NFL. Jabril Peppers was one of the best safeties in the NFL last year, period. So I could see them, if they lean too heavily into the run to try and feel safe about it, that the Patriots could match them there. I think the weakness is trying to throw the ball, trying to make sure that you test these younger, unproven corners, trying to make their defensive line put pressure on you when they're lacking their best pass rushers that they had previously in Christian Barmore and Matthew Judon. Now you got a bunch of good run defenders, but you're going to have to make guys like maybe Josh Uche try and beat you. So that's where I kind of see things like, oh, it could end up being, if the Bengals get too conservative off the gate, that could play into the Patriots' hands. Yeah. But also, again, I see a lot of different ways that the passing game could take advantage of guys in coverage who are not so great, like Kyle Duggar, like Jawan Bentley. Try and isolate these guys a little bit and get away from the good guys in coverage, like Jelani Tavai. So that's kind of where I see it. Maybe when you're running the ball, try and attack the interior where they're a little bit soft and their better run defenders generally tend to be on the edge. But that's kind of where I see the matchups playing out for the Bengals and the Patriots through my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we all know how much the Bengals defense struggled last year. And, I think the Patriots obviously are very, very well aware of that. Mm-hmm. But I think the only approach I think the Patriots are really just going to stick to and just hammer time and time again, the Bengals couldn't stop the run last year. And we just lost DJ Reader, the best run defender, and you lost Cam Sample, who was a very good run defender as well. I think the Patriots are going to come out and run the ball a shit ton. They're just going to give it to Ramondre Stevenson. They're going to mix in some Antonio Gibson. They're going to try to develop the play action pass. They're going to play your old school style of football and just test the Bengals. And, that's good for the Bengals too, because we get a feeling, Daniel talked about the defensive line and the pass rush, but we also get to see the run defense, because while they all need to improve, the D-line in general needs to improve. But if that run defense isn't looking any better or doesn't look decent against the Patriots with the bad O-line, then it's going to be tough to stand pat in the AFC North. So I think the Patriots are just going to play a very old school style of football this week, going to get a little crazy time in and time out. They're going to run the ball. They're going to work off play action. They're going to take their shots when they need to, but it's going to come through the run game. The Bengals can't stop that. That's the only time things might get a little worried. The Bengals should be totally fine this game. They should. We all know they're the better team, but we don't get off to the best starts. The Patriots, are historically a good franchise. It's a first-time head coach. Who knows what crazy stops he's going to try to pull out. Mm-hmm. They got really expect the unexpected this week too.
You think they could end up like maybe doing a lot of like the jumbo packages, the 12 personnel, trying to do that and use, like you said, play action, rollouts, boots, and stuff like that to try and make things easier for Jacoby Brissett, buy him a little bit more time, move the pocket a little bit, that kind of stuff. Where if your wide receiver depth is only too deep and you got Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, who are not inspired tight end options, but are still quality tight end options.
And I do think if the Patriots decide to work the passing game, we've kind of talked about it a little bit all offseason. I think it's going to be the slot. Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas, whatever you want to call him, he was very productive last year. And the Patriots might kind of look at that matchup against him with Mike Hilton and be like, this is where we see the one avenue we think we can throw the ball. If we're, in more traditional drop back settings, I can see them attacking there. And then when it's not him, they're working off play action to try to take their deep shots to Polk. Maybe Tyquan Thornton gets in there and, some deep shots with hit the speedster there. Nothing too crazy for New England.
You guys brought up some interesting points, but, I agree that they're going to try to address the run game and try to make it a focal point. But I could see a situation in which they really try to hammer home with these tight ends. I really could see it. The Bengals have struggled covering good tight ends. And, I know that in this Patriot system in the past, especially if you look at Jacoby Brissett's numbers, he loves throwing to the tight end position. I could definitely see that being a situation in which the Bengals look to exploit, because the fact of the matter is, while the Bengals are young at the cornerback spot, they've got some really athletic players. They got some guys that have some real talent. They're like Cam Taylor, Britt, like Dax Hill, who we're going to talk about a little bit later. But I'm looking at the tight end position. I think it's going to be one of those days where Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson are going to be fighting for their lives out there. They're going to have to prove their worth, because
maybe some Jordan Battle fill in a little bit.
100%. Yeah. I think this could be a big Jordan Battle game if you're using him in that way, because I definitely think that the Patriots will be looking towards their tight ends a little bit more than a little more than we're expecting them to be looking towards their wide receivers. But there's a guy as well that I think we should talk about. He was a guy that did a very good job in Minnesota, and now he's with the Patriots. And people aren't talking about him enough. I liked him, and I liked him a lot last year because he won me a lot of money when I bet on him. KJ Osborne can be a thorn in the Bengals side. He can be a thorn in the Bengals side. That is a guy that when you call his number, he just is consistent. He shows up over and over and over and over again. And I'm not here to tell you KJ Osborne is a household name. But let me ask you this: was Noah Brown? No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Noah Brown's on the street, bro.
But you see what I'm saying.
That's the thing is, like, I remember. I'm sorry to get off on a tangent like this. I just remember arguing with Bengals fans about this, who were like really sore about him going off against us and like not covering him, and people were trying to be like, "Oh my God, he's actually really good though." It's like He's not even on a team. A year later, after dropping 200.
I think he's on the
yards or, like,
Commanders.
100
I
hits.
mean, he got picked
Oh, he
up.
got picked up by the
Yeah.
Commanders.
One thing I
Yeah.
always say I've realized in Lou's defense, and I love Lou. But I'll say this: one thing I've always realized in Lou's defense, there's always going to be a sore spot in the receiving spot. There's always going to be a sore spot. Yeah, and when I mean by that, I don't mean like obviously you can say, oh, well, the run game had a good game. Now I'm talking about at the receiving game, somebody's going to pop off. Somebody's going to be that guy. It's almost like Lou and his defense takes the thought that we'd rather your lesser known receiver have a monster game versus letting your main receiver have a monster game. I think the Bengals have been really, really good about taking away number one wide receivers and making life very, very difficult. You look at when they go up against Tyreek Hill, right? When he was with KC or when he was against Miami, and we had Eli Apple covering him and stuff like that at those points. And guess what? We were still able to eliminate him at points from the game. There, if you look at the true number one wide receivers, don't necessarily pop off for a lot against the Bengals. It's usually those unexpected positions, right? Those unexpected positions, those unexpected spots. The slot position was a sore spot at points for the Bengals in coverage. That's not saying Mike Hilton isn't a good player, but it is saying that there was times where he was attacked last year, right? So it's going to be trying to figure out what for the Patriots, what is going to be their spot where they attack for the Bengals. And for me, when I'm looking at it on paper, at least, I say the tight end spot. I think Hunter Henry is I think Hunter Henry is going to have a 5-catch day against the Bengals. I believe that 5 to 6 catches against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know if it's not going to be a score, but I definitely think he's going to get his. I can see him finishing with like about 60 yards or something like that. I remember it was almost got to a point where shame to say this, Daniel and I were we would go to games and stuff like that together. And we'd place like our little bets that we would have, and we would always look at the opposing tight end against the Bengals. And that was a bet that consistently hit over and over and over and over again.
Probably like 95% of the time last year.
I would like to think that it's not going to hit now, but I'm not trusting that. I think that the Bengals will willingly give up checkdowns to the tight end spot, and they give up a lot because they take away their receivers. So unless it got magically fixed this year and they're going to rely on guys like Jordan Battle, again, our team isn't perfect. We're not going to sit up here and act like we're perfect. There's going to be a sore spot. Every team has a sore spot. And if you guys are looking to make some money, listen, we're saying take your emotions out of it. If you're looking to make some money, I look at the opposing tight end because I don't think since Lou's been here, that has been an issue for the Bengals. Since before Lou,
Well, on top
the
of it,
Bengals
too,
have an
if
issue with tight ends.
You lost DJ Reader, right?
Yeah.
Let's say Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt.
Yeah.
Like we said, know that this is not a primary passing offense. Try and support against the run a little harder. Some of that play action and 12 personnel maybe works out a little better for the Patriots because they're trying so hard to compensate for not having DJ Reader, for having a defensive line that we're relatively uncertain or just unproven at the moment in terms of run defense. So, yeah, I definitely could see some play action opportunities for Hunter Henry. I definitely could see some.
Hunter Henry's going to burn us for a 20-plus yard game.
He's got a great feel of like just sitting down in zones. He's got that kind of Jason Witten type of like, hey, I'm not a crazy athlete, but like he's had so many injuries. He's far removed from the athlete he once was, but he can still find those soft spots in the zone and sit down and do that.
You know, we keep praising what's the tight end's name? We just Hunter Henry. Watch it be like Austin Hooper or something like that.
Yeah.
Watch it be
Always
something weird like Austin Hooper.
Jaheim
Like,
Bell.
you know.
Yeah,
It's gonna be something weird.
Bell.
It's gonna be didn't you like him, Matt?
Logan really
I
liked
did.
him a
Yeah.
lot. I liked him as like an H-back in the fifth round.
He's a fun
Like,
football
I-
player.
You want to hear something? Hunter Henry. Oh God, we shouldn't be getting into this right now. Let's save that till later. Let's save that till
Might
later.
as well just say it now. We're here.
Why are we? Hunter Henry's receiving prop
Yeah.
is set at 27 and a half. Set at 27 and a half. He's going to crush that against the Bengals. I'm just going to be honest with you. He's going to crush that against the Bengals. We might not want to hear that. We might think it's whatever. And Ramondre Stevenson, although, I don't necessarily know how much he was featured in the pass game with the Patriots last year, his receiving prop is at 10 and a half.
Malik,
The Bengals will be willing to give up those,
Yeah.
those dink and dunks.
I'm gonna do you one better real quick. Hunter Henry's receptions prop is at 2.5.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
taking
that's
that.
easy money.
So,
on
like,
the
I'm
over.
taking that.
Yeah, I'll take that.
He's gonna get 3 receptions.
Yeah, I'm
so.
taking that. I'm taking that. Like, that's done deal. I appreciate you for telling me that too. Because
I'd be bumped by the time the show's over.
you said what?
I said I'd be bumped by the time the show's
Yeah,
over.
I'm sure it will be.
It'll be up to
Swaying
5
markets
hours.
out here, man.
Listen, the Bengals are
Look,
going
the
to win.
millions and
Make no
millions
mistake
of
about it.
followers we
The
have
Bengals,
out here.
listen, make no mistake about it. The Bengals are going to win the game, but
That's all that matters.
they're still going to give up something. And what are they going to give up? Are they going to give up 100 yards, Jalen Polk? No. But will they give up some yardage and a couple of catches to tight ends, 100%. I think the Bengals win this game, though. We'll talk about some of our favorite bets as the game goes on. But I just want to ask if you guys could do us a huge favor. Give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live, upload content. Drop your questions down in the comment section. I'm going to try to start getting the questions as we go so that way we're not like kind of funneling in at the end of the show.
Playing catch up.
Yeah, playing catch up. So Benjamin Harrison's Andre Yoshi, 7 catches, 100+ yards. What you think? I think that's crazy. I don't think that happens. But I think Yoshi Vosh could have
change his name to Mike Gesicki. Now what you think?
Not 7 catches. Not 7 catches. Mike Gesicki probably finishes with 4 or 5 catches for the Bengals on
8
Sunday.
touchdowns.
And
Sick.
I would say a touchdown to be safe, but I at my heart I believe he finishes with 2 touchdowns. I do.
Drew Sample being named tight end 1 didn't dash your hopes.
No, not at all.
I'm
That's a
messing
joke.
with you.
That's a joke. But
Yeah.
you know,
That's just because Gesicki plays wide receiver,
Yes.
slot or wide,
Yes.
like 70% of the time.
right.
Yeah.
And let me just ask you this: like we talked a lot about some of the Patriots defenders. Who's stopping Mike Gesicki? I'll wait. Who's stopping him?
Jelani Tavai.
I don't believe that, but I hear you. He's good. Jelani Tavai is good.
He was one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL last season. I'm just giving credit where credit's due.
Hey, listen, man, I love that, but guess what? They're gonna need more than him to stop Mike Gesicki on Sunday. I guarantee that.
All right.
He's Mike Gesicki. I believe after maybe not this game, maybe after 2 games against maybe the game after the Chiefs. I think
Mike
people
Gesicki
start coming
revenge
around.
game. We're betting it to the moon. Let's go.
We are
No
100%.
fans or butts.
You know what? People laugh at this, but guess what? When it happens, I will be on Twitter and I'm literally gonna post a smirk gif. I'm literally going to post a smirk gif because a lot of people are like, this dude doesn't know we just brought in another tight end that's going to be out after next year. Watch.
Yeah,
Just sit back and watch.
The post game show is just
I
going to be you smirking the whole
No,
time.
listen, I don't bang the drum. I don't literally hammer a guy and literally write home and say the Bengals should take a guy just to say for me to say the Bengals should take them. Listen, there's tons of players that came out of the state of New Jersey who I've seen, and I never thought that they would be any good. I've known what Mike Gesicki could do. He proved it when he got into the league. It's not his fault. He ended up in a situation where the Miami Dolphins hired a coach that has no desire to utilize a tight end position. Literally, no desire. Then he thinks, maybe I'm doing something for the betterment of my career, going to the New England Patriots, right? Bengals didn't really show any interest that year. He goes over to the New England Patriots and for some reason ends up in Bill Belichick's doghouse. He comes in, he makes plays, then he gets out. But it
Matt
skews
Patricia's doghouse.
Yeah, Matt Patricia's doghouse. Matt Patricia calling offensive plays. Come on, are we kidding? But for some way, it skewed the thought process on Mike Gesicki. Go look up what he did. He didn't it's not like he had a major injury. Nothing happened to where this guy literally just came in and is like, he's no longer good at football anymore. Every opportunity he got with the New England Patriots, he produced. He did his job. But you can't do your job if you're playing a couple snaps a game, being productive during the snaps, getting taken out for the rest of the game. How does that even make any sense? How does that even make any sense? Why sign the guy? So finally, he's in a situation in which Joe Burrow has been in need of a tight end or a guy with the receiving capabilities of Mike Gesicki, and he's the most talented tight end that Joe Burrow's had in his career. He is, right? Or pass-catching tight end he's had in his career. And now he's in a situation in which the Bengals have a need at the receiving tight end position. And guess what? He's in an offense with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and all the attention is not on him. He doesn't have to worry about that. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to make life easier for those guys. So when I sit up on the show, and listen, there's a lot of bandwagon people that come up on the train afterwards, stuff like that. I've been hammering this train. No, let's not joke around for a second. I've been hammering this train for the last 2 years of what Mike Gesicki can do for the Bengals offense. And that's why I'm freaking pumped up about it, because I think Bengals fans are going to realize what they have. And I've been on record saying this. Mike Gesicki is going to make it hard for the Bengals to have to make a decision next year. I think he's going to put up those type of numbers. And again, I'm going to sit back when it's all said and done. People could laugh. People could have their jokes. People could look at the numbers that he's put up when he was barely played in New England or he wasn't played by Mike McDaniels. And I'll sit up here and I'll say this. Hate to say I told you so, but who am I kidding? I love to say I told you so. Mike Gesicki is going to have a big game against the New England Patriots. And if I'm wrong, beer's on me. Guess what?
I'm sorry, guys.
On to the next.
Get them all worked up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You can get me worked up all you want. The fact of the matter is, we're not going to downplay Mike Gesicki, who's a damn good tight end. And guess what? The Bengals had a home run pick when they signed him. So we're going to keep the conversation rolling. If you guys do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Let's talk about Jamar Chase. Let's talk about Jamar Chase. So Jamar Chase returned to practice today. And the conversation has been dominating the media. Jamar Chase might not play. Jamar Chase is going to sit out games. We've been on record stating our opinions of how we feel, right, about the Jamar Chase hold-in situation. I don't see a situation in which he misses games personally. You lose a lot of money, right, when you miss games. And let's see it. The fact of the matter is he still has 2 years left on his contract as it stands. There's been a lot of rumors floated out there. I mean, I see so many. I get DM'd so much about, did the Bengals get Jamar Chase's contract done? The Bengals get Jamar Chase's contract done? Here's what I can tell you. The conversations have been fluid. That's how the contract talks happen. Nothing is done. Nothing has been done. It's a conversation that's still happening. But I think a lot of people are excited for Jamar Chase to get paid because they want to see him in here long term. Excuse me. Wow, I don't think I've ever sneezed during the talk, but here we are.
Pollen's out here today, man.
Oh, man.
Allergies are killer.
Oh my gosh. I'm two.
From all these walks.
All right. And people want to know, why don't you make this into podcast form? This is why. This is why. We never know what might happen. But anyway, no, Mike Gesicki might get. What am I saying about Mike Gesicki? Jamar Chase still on your mind. Still on mine. I'm pumped up about Mike Gesicki. I'm still hyped up about him. No, I'm just kidding. But no, Jamar Chase. I fully expect him to be out there on Sunday for the Bengals. And what type of capacity? Who knows? Is he going to be all systems go for Jamar Chase? Listen, from what I literally said last week on the show, from what I was understanding, those two have been working out beyond practice. They've been working out all throughout the offseason. I don't think you have to worry about Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow being on the same page, right? It's everyone around him, not named Joe Burrow. Are they going to be on the same page with Jamar Chase? And, you saw some weird ass tweets from some people like Trey Wingo's like, oh, what I'm hearing out of Cincinnati, not good things. I think it was earlier this offseason. I'm like, what are you talking about?
The vibes
like,
are weird or something.
What are you talking about? Come on. What are we talking about here? That's not true. Like, everybody understands Jamar Chase needs to get paid. Everybody understands T. Higgins wants to get paid. But guess what? T. Higgins is in a situation where he needs to prove himself. Not just to the Bengals. And I think that's the real come to Jesus meeting he had with himself. Is like you have injuries, right? And then you want to get paid. And then you're like, okay, I want to get paid. But it's like, all right, are you gonna prove? Are you gonna put up the numbers? Are you gonna be consistent? Are you gonna be out there? He realizes that it's probably more beneficial for him to show up to training camp, be out there with his team, put together a really productive year, and then get paid a huge contract this offseason. That's the hope there, right? For Jamar Chase is, listen, he wants to get paid. The guy wants to get paid, and he wants to get paid now. And as much people say, oh, and we saw a lot of comments, oh, well, that's not doing the Bengals a favor. It kind of, I mean, listen, the Bengals signed Jamar Chase right now. It's a bargain. Yeah, it is a bargain for what it could be. Because listen, the price of the price goes up. The price goes up. Today's price wasn't yesterday's price. If Jamar Chase goes out there and has a record-breaking season, which he could do, especially with this offense being what it is, the contract he's going to command might exceed, or no, I expect it to exceed what you could have probably paid him right now, right? But the fact of the matter is he wants to get paid right now. Do right by him. Let's make it happen. What are you guys' thoughts, overall sentiment on the Jamar Chase situation? I've been talking a lot. I'm going to shut up for a little bit. So, Evan, we'll start with you, Logan. We'll kind of just go down the panel.
Yeah, no, we've kind of talked about this a lot, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Like we said, there's a lot of precedent for getting signed this late, where I think it was AJ Green and maybe Carlos Dunlap and Geno too were kind of like late August, early September. Yeah, so it's not unusual. And what's Andrew Brandt, the former agent and Packers affiliate for the front office, said deadline spur action, and the deadline is Sunday. And we've seen a lot of traction, I would say, probably in the last 5 days, with Ian Rappaport now saying that they're in the ballpark and not quite close to done, but at least they're in the ballpark now, which is a lot farther than we expected, a week or two ago, or what we were hearing. So progress being made. I expect him to probably have the contract, or at least most of the contract, besides maybe some of the bonus structure and just language, kind of hammered out by Sunday. But I would expect him to probably end up with that contract sooner rather than later.
Basically, exactly what happened with Daniel and I.
That's true.
Just literally going back and forth for months, he wasn't returning my calls at one point in time.
And hopefully we can avoid the physical altercations on YouTube, but
I was going to say, is Daniel going to show up 20 minutes late and walk right through the shot and then walk over on the couch? Yeah. Try and make his point.
Pretty much. That's exactly what happened.
But at the end of the day, that we've been talking about the Jamar Chase stuff for a while. It's he's gonna play, I think, regardless of the situation. I expect something to get done as well. I think maybe it's getting a little annoying. It's taking this long, but it's kind of how we've always done things. This is there's a deadline for a reason. We're gonna wait as long as we can. It's gonna get done. It's gonna be a great thing. He's gonna be in Cincinnati for a long time, and I'm excited to watch him play football on Sunday. There's not really much else to it for me at this point.
Logan, the voice of reason. Relax, everything's gonna be happening. Everybody's gonna sign for me. We are.
And until he doesn't, then I'll be losing my mind. But
man, somebody said Malik's camp just went to Adam Schefter.
Yeah, just pay the man his money. He wants to get paid. He wants to get paid now. Let's keep him and Joe in Cincinnati for a long time, and let's keep the winning moving.
Yeah, nothing else to say. I mean, dude practiced today. Paid the dude his money, and he's gonna get his bag, and he'll be happy. And I'm just very confident when he steps on the field this year. I'm very confident the dude has a crazy season, and I feel like that's the one thing I just wanted to take this time to say is people forget. I feel like the numbers that this dude really could put up. You go look at the year that they went to the Super Bowl. You look at what he's done in his regular season. Yes, maybe last year's numbers weren't crazy compared to CD, compared to Tyreek Hill, but with how few that the Bengals run the ball. I wouldn't be shocked to see if Jamar Chase is top 5 in targets, barring health. But people forget just how good this dude is. Yeah, he's that dude, and hopefully he plays week 1. And if he does, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes out there and has 100+ yards.
Wow. I saw somebody said, isn't he probably pissed off by now? Why would he want to come back and all this other stuff? And I'm like, guys, I haven't. Maybe none of us ever will. But just imagine getting $100 million transferred to your bank.
And, I'd be pretty pissed.
That solves a lot of problems.
I wish
can make your mood a lot better. So as upset you might be, we've seen a lot more contentious holdouts. This has been far from contentious. This is Chase still showing up to practice, still doing work on the side, not skipping practices, not going to Cabo, not doing the Trent Williams hold out and playing golf while practice is going on. He's been there. Like it's a very soft holdout compared to most. So I think Chase is not upset at all. I think, and again, he's got 2 years left. It's not like he's going out there with 1 year left and no security.
Right.
But yeah, I think $100 million solves a lot of problems.
I agree. I wish I was negotiating for $100 million.
I wish I was negotiating for 1/100th of that.
Right. We'd be very happy people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good day.
Rolling them State of the Jungle dollars.
Yeah.
But no, we're doing great. But let's talk about your couch for a second before we jump to the next topic. You guys sitting over there, you guys got the best seat in the house right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right? You guys got your new couch over there. Evan just sitting down, being able to just chill. What do you think about the new couch, man?
Just vibing, man. I got this nice little cubby right here. That's exactly whiskey bottle shape, so that's always nice.
You talked a big game about bringing whiskey and doing all the stuff like that. And for the first episode of the new couch, you brought nothing. You didn't even break in anything.
I didn't know the new couch was coming.
Man, I literally
it was
Evan literally disregards our group chat for the entire week.
I swear. When did you say the couch? Do I need to check the receipts? When did you say the couch?
I said it was coming.
When?
I said,
when?
Like last week.
Like last week. Do you know how much has happened in my life since last week?
Bro,
listen, you got no life.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. Let's see. I'm hot.
Listen, while he's trying to prove me wrong, if you guys could do us a favor, we've got over 130 people watching us live right now. We appreciate you that you decided to spend your Wednesday evenings with us to State of the Jungle crew. It's cool to have the entire crew back in its full form. If you guys give this video, screw you, Evan.
Man.
If you guys give this
back in August
He
18th.
unsent it.
Oh my!
Must have. I
Simone.
see the original text. August 18th.
Simone says, "Hey Malik, did Evan refuse to wear the hat because of his hair? I got him a State of the Jungle hat, and this guy didn't even wear it. That's crazy. Look at everybody else being good sports.
Every single
wearing
person
State of the Jungle.
Well, you have a Cincy hat,
and I have a Cincy hat. Got to represent Ted Karras and his brand, the whole 9 yards. But I'm thinking Evan's not a fan of the hats, man. What's wrong with you, Ev?
I wear hats most of the time, like when I'm done with work.
I hear you.
Like,
you're done with work.
Just like on the weekend, and I don't feel like I got a lazy day. Like you throw a ball cap.
I hear you. Oh, listen, we're done picking on Evan off of the show.
I got a nice thick head of hair, man. My dad was nice and gave me a gift, so I try to take care of it, man. I got a lot of friends out there balding, man.
Yeah, man. Because of wearing hats.
Maybe.
Right?
I don't know. They all did wear a lot of hats.
Just because you said that, I'm taking my hat off.
I'm just saying.
I'm taking my hat off.
I'm not saying.
I've got good hair for the most part. But listen, if you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Let's move on our conversation on over to Dax Hill. Dax Hill won the starting cornerback job in Cincinnati. And I hate to say, I told you so, but I love to say I told you so. Dax Hill beat out DJ Turner as the starting number 2 cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm so excited for this guy. I'm so excited because he embraced the position. He embraced the change. And I think that is such a big thing to do for a lot of these players, right? And we were talking to Drew Garrison, who joined us on the show last week about this. You know, I think what made him comfortable with embracing the change was his Swiss Army knife sort of position he played at Michigan. He was really never one specific thing. And when Cincinnati brought him in, they thought, hey, we just be able to use this guy, bring him in, and he'd be able to play free safety for us and we'll be fine. Well, it didn't work out that way because there's so much more involved in this defense. You know, it's one of the more complicated defenses in football that's involved with that. And now he gets to play a position which allows him to just be out there, or rely on his athleticism, and let his talent show. I think Dax Hill is going to do some really, really big things in Cincinnati. I'm going to go as far as to say I think that Dax Hill, and this might seem like a bold take. I'm not saying it to be a bold take. I'm just going off of what I've seen so far, what I've been told. I think Dax Hill probably winds up being the best cornerback on the Bengals. I believe that. I do believe that. I think that the one issue he's going to have early on is his ability. I think the one issue he's going to have early on is sometimes he might be a little too jumpy, and you might see him bite on a couple plays. He might misread things, right? Early on, especially when you're facing Patrick Mahomes, right? But I think it's one of those things where I think he might have growing pains, but I think by week 6, you're like, holy shit, this looks like a completely different player. That's what I think was going to happen with Dax Hill. I think Dax Hill looks better than every cornerback on the back. I think Dax Hill winds up becoming cornerback 1 in Cincinnati. I believe that by year's end. And I think Cincinnati probably struck gold by moving him to cornerback because I think it's going to work out in a big way for them. But what are you guys' thoughts?
I was just say, I kind of wonder how long his leash is there. You know, because you'd imagine it'd be, you know, like it feels like it'd be decently long if he's newer to the position and everything. But you still have a guy like DJ Turner waiting there, you know, and like Malik said, there's probably is going to be a lot of struggles for him at the beginning, especially going against some good receivers. You know, so like I'm just curious, like how long the leash really is, because it's not like he's cornerback 2 like by default or anything. It's not like we have no other solid options to go to. So I'm just kind of curious to see if the struggles do come, how long they're going to ride it out. Not that I think they're going to come or anything, but it's just in the scenario that he's in. It's just, that's one of the main questions that I have is like, when do you pull him out? When do you adjust it? You know, like when do you go?
You know, I might be crazy, but I have a vision. I have a vision.
Got a vision. Share with us.
What?
That's just fun. Go ahead and share.
Well, no, wait.
Say I got a vision. Paint me a picture, Malik.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Paint me a picture.
I'm sorry. Did I say something wrong?
But, go ahead. You're good. Man.
You know, obviously the Bengals have a lot of talent on the defensive back room, and there's a lot of guys that this defensive group, they're really high on. But I wonder, could we ever see? We talked about it a little bit last week. Could we ever see Cam Taylor-Britt in the slot?
Yeah. They listed Dax Hill as the backup.
I know, that was crazy to me a little bit.
We talked about it, man, where you either put Dax or Cam there, and obviously, like with the aggressive downhill nature that Cam Taylor-Britt already has, like it makes a lot of sense to kind of profile him in there. And now Dax Hill's got experience on the corner. Honestly, like it's just a good spot to be in, where now you have more kind of understanding and knowledge of what you have behind Mike Hilton. So when you go into that contract situation at the end of the year, and you're like, hey, do we pay an undersized, physical, downhill natured corner at, over the hump of 30? And do we give him that opportunity, or do we say, hey, next year we have DJ Turner and Dax Hill and Cam Taylor-Britt with Josh Newton and maybe someone else backing up? Like it's a good spot to be in.
It is really nice to I liked seeing him to be the backup slot, and it's just nice to be able to have people that can kind of, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and it frees up a roster spot that we saw with them releasing Jalen Davis. Slot corner is a very, niche position, and carrying a backup to that, kind of holds. That's a roster spot that's probably doesn't really see the field too often, because they're not going to play backup boundary, not going to play backup safety. They're
Jalen Davis.
Yeah, they're strictly only that backup corner. So now that not that Jalen, I don't even think Jalen Davis was a bad player or anything.
No,
either.
It's just he's limited in what he can offer you, and like you said, that's a roster spot.
Yeah, and now we have more freedom in that roster spot, and we don't really lose any talent there either. It's just it's part of roster building, and I think that's kind of how the Bengals are going to continue to attack. Deshaun Anthony kind of that same way. He can do a little bit of everything. You'll see him back up multiple positions as well. It's kind of what Dax Hill's doing. It's just nice to have people that are truly versatile and can kind of just play wherever they're needed.
And just add on to that real quick. I think, and that's kind of what I'm also a little concerned about is like, especially looking at the safety room. Like you got a lot of guys that can do everything, and I just hope that they don't overcomplicate it. That's my biggest fear. Like a guy like Jordan Battle, I just hope that they put him like that dude needs snaps, and that's the number one thing. Whether it's him, whether it's DJ Turner. My biggest question is similar to what we were just talking about with the tight ends is figuring out, okay, we got these athletes. Let's just put them on the field. Let's get these guys on the field. And I don't think that they're going to have, early season is going to be, a real struggle, but I'm fairly confident that this team, that they can figure it out. And like I said, you look at the rest of the teams in the division, there's not a lot of talented like receivers in the division. So I think they're going to get, their reps in throughout the season, whether it's the Steelers, even the Browns, and then obviously you look at the Ravens, it's the tight ends. And I think Russell Wilson's going to be going to the tight ends. I think Deshaun Watson, obviously he's got Cooper, but he's going to be going to Njoku. So I think that's the focal point for this defense as a whole is literally Jordan Battle and what do you do with the tight end situation? But that's where I'm curious to see what happens this week.
We got a question down in the comment section by the Platypus. My question is, if Dax has a really good year, are you looking at extending both Cam Taylor-Britt and Dax, or does one get the boot and you draft replacement? Listen, I don't think the Bengals will look to let good corners walk out the door. They've always
no one should.
proven, outside of Jonathan Joseph, they've always, paid the guys that produce and have been willing to pay the guys that have produced. So I think it's a situation in which if both of those guys ball out and have a good year, I could see them both back here in Cincinnati. You can never have enough good pass rushers. You can never have enough good cornerbacks. It's one of those leagues. Listen, that's a good situation to be in. But remember, Dax Hill is a first-round pick, right? He was a first-round pick. So if you get a first-round pick and you're able to find a home for him and you were able to allow him to really produce at a high level at a position, why not keep that guy? That's the hope when you draft these guys. It doesn't matter if maybe they didn't work out at safety. I see a lot of people kind of upset that we wasted 2 years of Dax Hill without, officially putting him at corner. Well, the problem with that is we had a really good safety by the name of Jesse Bates sitting there, and you weren't going to be like, hey, Jesse, let's kick you out and see what we have. But the fact of the matter is the Bengals have been willing to play their young guys and see what they have in some young players. They may have made a mistake. Well, not may have. They definitely made a mistake with their tackle position a couple of years ago with Cedric Ogbuehi and Andrew Whitworth. In hindsight, is 2020, and they probably regret that decision. Not probably, they definitely do. But at the same time, you would have never known what you had in Jake Fisher and Cedric Ogbuehi if you never got those guys an opportunity to start. When you draft them, they could look fine in practice. They could look like they could maybe be something in practice, but you have an aging tackle or whatever the case may be, right? And then you're like, okay, we drafted this young guy. Let's see what he has. You owe it to yourself to see what you have in these players and almost exasperate every single opportunity to get the most out of them. And the Platypus follows up on his question. He says, fair point, Malik. My worry is about the slice of pie they can allocate to use the Bengals front office analogy. Listen, the Bengals have always proven if you are a good defensive back, if you're a good wide receiver, there are certain position groups that they've always paid, right? And that's why that kind of almost goes back to my drafting philosophy sometimes when you draft certain positions. If the Bengals were to go out there and draft a guard in the first round, I could literally tip my hat and say, we got 5 years of him. We got 5 years of that guy before he goes on and sign somewhere else. Not unless Cincinnati were to sign that guard to an extension a year or two before he was actually a free agent. Maybe you'd be able to get him at a bargain price. But the fact of the matter is there are certain position groups in which they value. There's certain position groups in which they've proven they don't value. Cornerback is not one of those of my concern. They literally paid cornerbacks for years and years and years. And listen, if Dax Hill works out the way he has, it should tell you a lot. The fact that Dax Hill was transitioning from safety to cornerback and DJ Turner, who was the Bengals cornerback too last year, thrusted into that role, right? He beat him out. If Dax Hill was in a doghouse or the coaching staff was all ready to move on from Dax Hill, he would not be starting right now.
Yeah.
He would not be.
Yeah, he won the job.
He literally won the job. He went out there, he produced. And guess what? It's very rare a cornerback flashes. And I don't mean just, I'm talking about actually flash where you're like, God damn, this guy's going to be a stud. Dax Hill flashed. He flashed time and time again. I still believe that was an interception in that first preseason game. I still believe that was an interception. It was a damn good one. He attacks them. He's everything you would sort of want in a cornerback. We just got it wrong. We got it wrong, and we thought this guy was a safety. He's everything you would want in a cornerback. You don't want a conservative cornerback out there. You don't. You want a guy that's going to attack the ball in the air for better or for worse, right? You want that guy. You want a guy with ball instincts that has a good feel for the game, that isn't afraid to put their body on the line to make a play. That's why I'm so excited for Dak. Hell, it wouldn't shock me if Dax Hill gets an interception on Sunday. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at all.
You know they're going to try to test him.
Right, 100%. And somebody put in the comment section as well, he's like, balance and bike life. I'm sorry, I always say that. And, I always say balance and bike life in the comment section each week. He says, not to be negative, but it's in my nature.
Just going to bring this up. This falls back to what you said with Dax Hill being behind Jesse Bates.
Yeah. He says, do you think it might have been a mistake to sign two safeties, sit Jordan Battle? He showed promise. Could this mess with his development? I'll say this. You cannot predict free agency. The Bengals' communication on the back end was so putrid last year that Lou was in a situation where everybody else was talking about, oh, this position we could sign, that position. No. Lou was like, yo, let's sign a safety. Let's get some guys in here that know what they're doing. I'd rather stock up on the position, right? Yep. Than be left pretty much wondering what's next. What's what?
I think it's a short-term solution.
Yeah.
And I think it is fair to say, and it's not negative. I think that's an astute point that it's probably at the cost of a little bit of the Jordan Battle development. Now you can kind of supplement that a little bit by what we've talked about before, where let's say obvious passing down situations, you can maybe sub out Jermaine Pratt or Logan Wilson occasionally, and then have Jordan Battle fill in and do the 3 safety looks. You can also try and take some of the load off of Von Bell and some of these other guys and kind of rotate Jordan Battle in as a guy who's played multiple different safety spots and roles, whether in the box or as a deep safety. But yeah, you can find ways to get that on the field, but it's absolutely fair to say, hey, do you maybe stunt his development a little bit by taking this short-term answer? Yeah. If you're the Patriots, is that a bad move? Yes. If you're the Bengals or the Chiefs or someone who has like win now aspirations, I think it's fair to say that it is a short-term good move, but overall could stunt the development of a promising player. Yes, I have that same concern. I hope to see him heavily involved. I think we still will. But yeah, again, maybe Von Bell is only around for a year or two. Maybe Geno Stone is only around for a year or two because his contract's only 2 years anyway. So maybe you just feel a lot better about what you have in Jordan Battle once he gets that time. We'll have to see.
I also think that, in general, there's developing a player isn't always just getting them reps on the field. Jordan Battle played great when he was on the field last year. There's so many aspects to the mental side of the game that people don't understand, especially at the safety position. Like I'd like to think that they still have a plan for him regardless. Like they just do, there's still going to be 300-ish snaps for him, whatever it is. He's still going to have his role. And that's just how they viewed him regardless. They didn't want to, just throw him into the fire, whether we think he's deserving of that or not. There's still, you can overdo it with people sometimes too. Maybe he's not ready to call the defense. Maybe that's what they really wanted from their safety, and they didn't feel he was ready for that. There's still so many learning experience from having a guy like Von Bell in the locker room that the Bengals didn't really have at that position last year. So now there's 2 veterans that kind of, play different play styles that he can sit and he can learn from, and he can still go in and get game action. At the end of the day, he's going to be developing whether he's on the field or not, just by being in that
just
room.
The mental aspect as opposed to the on-field experience.
So I obviously we want him on the field, but I still think he's going to play plenty. And if he's not, maybe we'll revisit it. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to keep developing regardless.
I'll say this. Jordan Battle is one of those guys you're not going to keep off the field.
Yeah.
You're just not going to keep off the field. His talent just literally pops on tape over and over and over again. He is going to, I almost believe in my heart, Jordan Battle in the future, in the near future, I'll say, I think he is going to be the emotional leader of the Bengals defense. I really believe that. The way that he was at Alabama, and Evan and I were very fortunate to watch him. A lot of people praise
watching him, Minka.
Can we just touch on
Foster?
Something? Yeah, oh my God, Reuben Foster.
We went from Minka,
dude. Derrick Henry, oh man, there were some just broken players, and Minka and Battle are definitely 2 of those guys.
And I'm going to tell you this: Brian Branch gets a lot of praise, deservedly so, for as talented as he is. But I will tell you this: there were games where Jordan Battle had sat out because I think it was a targeting thing or something like that. And you literally saw his presence being missed on the defensive side. You saw it. It's almost like teams didn't have that same fear. of the defense. You didn't have your emotional leader. Brian Branch is very good, but I just think that Jordan Battle brings, and it's very difficult to sort of explain. It's one of those things where hopefully Bengals fans, you've been watching him enough, you start to see the impact he has, but his impact goes beyond just his play. His play is outstanding, but the emotional charge and emotional leader that he is, man, I think Jordan Battle is going to be a very special player for Cincinnati, and I'm willing to bet that guy's going to find himself on the football field far more often than we are expecting. I think it's going to be one of those situations when you're looking at it and it's like, yeah, he may not be a starter, but he's going to be out there so much. You're going to be like, damn, maybe he is a starter. I'm excited to see how many different sets that they use. And maybe that's their cure to stopping the tight end spot. Maybe Jordan Battle will be out there. Maybe Jordan Battle will be thrusted into that spot of covering guys and doing so much. I expect this Bengals defense to be transformed this year. I do. I expect the linebackers to look a lot better than what they did last season. But going back to Dax Hill, I think Dax Hill at cornerback was such a home run move. And once again, let me just say this. Can we just give a credit to Lou Anarumo for a second? As a defensive coordinator, right, as a coach, it takes killing your ego as well to be able to like, this guy is not working out this position. As much as I want him to work out the spot, I realize maybe he could fit better here. There are a lot of coaches in the league, right? A lot of coaches in the league that will have a vision for a guy. And if that guy doesn't live up to that vision, they'll do away with them. They'll do away with them and they'll say, he's just not a good player. And then that same guy will go on another team and play great. I think it takes a coach being able to, because if we actually deal with the coaching side of things, Logan's a coach, so he can speak to this. If you tell a player, hey, we're going to move you from a position, there's so many emotions that go with that. There's literally nurturing that you have to do as a coach, where you have to speak to that player and say, hey, we're not saying you're a bad player, because that's the first thing that enters a player's mind. Are you saying I'm a bad football player? No, we're not saying you're a bad football player. We're just saying you are better fit at this spot. And I feel like that's not talked about enough. And you want to talk about a guy that deserves to be a head coach and why I think Lou deserves to be a head coach? Because it's those type of conversations and those type of one-on-one interactions that you can't just simulate. Those are one of those things where that happens in real life. You have to have that conversation with the player. And then guess what? You instill confidence in that player, so much so that player comes back to training camp with the mentality of, I'm going to win the cornerback job. And they go out there and they win the cornerback job. And now the confidence is restored. So when you think about potentially hiring a coach in the future, a head coach in the future, and what you look for, and being a quote unquote player's coach, those are the type of stuff you look for. Those are the things that you look. This is why Lou Anarumo's defensive players love him. That's the reason why Von Bell came back to Cincinnati when he got cut from the Carolina Panthers. They know what they're getting. They know the message is not going to be skewed. They know what they're getting out of this guy. So I just think that's so, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I think that is so impactful. I think that's something that kind of goes under the radar. And for me, being a business owner, talking with people, that's the kind of conversations that I like having, right? Because that's the part of coaching. Coaching is about managing as well. It's about managing. And there's so many personalities that you manage. But it says a lot about Dax Hill that he changed the position and won the cornerback job. So here's going to be the next thing for me. How does DJ Turner rebuild? How does DJ Turner rebuild? Because if Lou can rebuild DJ Turner up, what are we talking about? What are we really talking about here, right? So I don't know. I'm excited for Dax Hill. I'm excited for the new change for him. I don't mean to go off on a tangent and talk so in depth about it, but that's something, again, we talk, I feel like on a lot of shows, there's a lot of surface level talk, but there's not a lot of intricate talks of the actual coaching aspects and what it takes to build up a player's confidence again, because no doubt his confidence had to be shot after last year, right? But we want to thank you guys for tuning in again. Give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content from the TWSN studios. We're going to keep the conversation rolling to the 2024 expectations. Our expectations for the 2024 season. And then we're going to get off to some of our favorite bets for week one. And then we're going to answer your questions. So start dropping your questions down in the comment section so we can get to all those. 2024 expectations. Daniel, we started with you. We're going to start with you again.
Man, what do I expect out of this year?
Yeah, because there's many different ways you can define success, man. There's many different ways you can define success. And I think the easy low-hanging fruit is to say, oh, NOLA, Super Bowl or bust. Now, that's the easiest thing to say, right? But but seriously, what are your expectations for this Bengals football team? Let's get real detailed here.
My expectations is for them to start off on fire. And I think anything besides a hot start would be a very big disappointment. And the reason why I say that is people don't understand, and yes, every single team is their own challenge, but people don't understand at least the favorable schedule that the Bengals really have. To start off with New England, and then you get, some of your biggest games early on are at home, right? You got the Eagles at home. You got the Ravens first game at home. And then you got to travel to New York to face the Giants. You got the Commanders here. You got the Patriots here. The beginning part of the schedule when your team is fully healthy is pretty damn easy when you compare it to other teams. So what I expect out of this team is to start out fast. And I think that would tell us a lot about how this current team is. And to be honest, I don't really have a lot of concerns. Other teams you may have concerns about because there is a change in your defense coordinator. There is a change at your head coach. There is a change at your offensive line. There is a change at quarterback, wide receiver. This team has continuity, and I think that's something that you see this trend happen time and time again. And I'll reference the 49ers. I think it was 5 years ago when they had Jimmy G, came off his injury, and the next year people are like, oh, the 49ers suck. They don't realize he had the same head coach. You have the same offensive line. You have great weapons. And that kind of tends to happen in the NFL. And I hate to say how, positive regression is a real thing, but in the NFL, it truly is. You look at teams who win close games the year after, a lot of times they tend to lose those close games. So I look at the Bengals, and I really think that this team is set up for success. So what I expect a hot start, and I do expect to see the defense is where I really look at the growing pains. I don't see, the offense. Only way I really see an issue with the Bengals offense, knock on wood, is a Joe Burrow injury. But I truly believe with Joe Burrow there, we saw the second half of his season last year, how he turned it on. The dude was on pace for 5,000 yards. People don't realize that with the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the 49ers game. He was on pace for 5,000 yards. So I expect this offense to be hot. I expect for Joe Burrow right away. I think this is going to be his best stretch that he's had within the first 4 weeks. I think we see him throw for 300 against the Patriots. Wouldn't be surprised if he did something great against the Chiefs, and then 300 against the Commanders, and then 300 plus against Carolina. So just to make it very simple, I think we're talking after the first 4 weeks that Joe Burrow is the leading MVP candidate, and then we'll go from there. But that's what I expect early on. And my one concern that I'm going to be penciled in on for the Bengals this entire year is the defensive line. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at Miles Murphy. I'm looking at Sam Hubbard. That's where my real concern will lie. But like I said, 4 weeks, Joe Burrow will be the favorite to win MVP.
Jimmy, you want to touch on anything?
So I expect them to start fast. This is Joe Burrow's first full training camp he's had since his not even rookie year because he had COVID. Like Daniel said, I expect them to start fast. No slow starts because Joe had the work in. The defense, if Dax Hill can continue his play the way he did in the preseason, I think that can take this defense to another level. You have Cam Taylor as of right now, cornerback one. If you can get Dax Hill to play at cornerback one level, you have 2 cornerback ones in that defense. Then on top of that, you also got the young talent and DJ Turner, who I still think is very promising and can help this team out very well. And I also believe Josh Newton down the road can be something that can help out the defense. And overall, the wide receivers, you got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Jermaine Burton, Charlie Jones, Trent Irwin, throw my guy in there. I love him. So Trent Irwin. Yeah. But, this is a team that can be dangerous. This is a team that can make, noise. And, I'm expecting a first place finish in the division, AFC North. And I'm expecting at least to get back to the AFC Championship and get to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Nice. Am I up?
Go ahead.
Sweet.
Knock it out.
All right. I think for me, we've talked about it for a few years now. We've been on several rants about it. I'm still just firmly focused on finding an offensive identity. Are we going to be a team that now mixes it up under center? Are we going to be an adaptable offense and go to these motions and do everything? Are we going to be a team that finally plays to an opponent's weakness instead of just relying on our strengths the whole time? The Bengals have always had one of the most talented skill groups in the NFL for the last 3 or 4 years. The lines finally come together. Everything is coming together. There's truly no more excuses for the offense not to just be firing and to be consistent and to be tops in the league. But that's going to come down to the new play calling. That's going to come down to, again, how the Bengals offensive identity truly is. Are we going to be more efficient in the run game? We have to finally find a way to bring it all together and truly have one of the most efficient, one of the highest scoring, and just truly one of the best offensive outputs week in and week out. Because yes, the defense is always going to be important, defense is always gonna, that's the cliche term, defense wins championships. But with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and everybody here, as long as they are here, if the offense is not good, if the offense is not one of the best in the league, this team is going to struggle to compete for championships. And that's what we want. So finding this offensive identity, embracing it, and building on that consistency week in and week out will always and forever be the success for the Bengals as long as Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are here.
Hey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Echo a lot of sentiments that they said. I expect them to start like 5-2 in the early part of the season, man. When you got teams like the Patriots, the Panthers, you figure you're going to maybe split one of the games with the Ravens and Browns, the Chiefs. Then you don't play the Eagles until like week 7 or 8. We talked about how you don't play a true top wide receiver for any of those first 6-7 weeks, right? Like, yeah, I think the best receiver you probably play in that time is Rashee Rice, right? Like, so you definitely have an opportunity there to put the clamps on the secondary, let the coverage kind of help you with your defensive line, getting in rhythm, kind of building confidence a little bit, getting themselves settled, letting the linebackers learn to trust the defense and the guys behind them again, so they can keep playing and getting back to the form that they had 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago. It's going to be a big thing, man. It's just getting the defense back on track and trying to make sure that you can just prevent the run game from just bleeding you dry on just 3 and 4 and 5 yard gains at a time. But yeah, man, the offense, we know what they can do. It's just a matter of Joe Burrow staying healthy. So I don't think there's any reason if Joe Burrow stays healthy that they can't win 11, 12 games this season. Absolutely. The AFC is going to be really wide open. Obviously, you've got the Dolphins still trying to figure things out. The Ravens have a lot of turnover and one of their worst offensive lines they've had in a couple of years. Still haven't quite figured out the wide receiver position there yet. You've got all that going on. We know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. The quarterback state's in flux and with the Steelers. You got a lot of turnover in the Bills with them losing offensive line and defensive line and their corner situation that they got. So, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for the AFC to take that top spot. So if you can beat the Chiefs early and then continue to build on that momentum and just stay healthy, there's no reason that you can't get the 1 or the 2 seed by the end of the year. So my general expectation would be go to the playoff, win at least 1 game. And after that, we'll see. It's
crapshoot.
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's when it comes down to a coin flip. Like, usually there's 1 play, 2 plays you can point to where you say, if we just had that one, then, you're good. That's the nature of the game, especially when you get in the playoffs, especially when you have that level of detailed planning. So hopefully they are strong and healthy at that point to where they can take advantage of that. But, I'd just like to see them get to the playoffs, beat what's probably going to be a lesser team in at least the first round, and then we ride from there and see where they end up.
Listen, I'll keep mine's brief. Listen, they got to win. They got to take home. They got to take care of business in the division. It's been putrid. It's been horrible.
Yes.
You need to be able to cut your own grass before you cut your neighbor's grass. I've been saying it all off season. I will not change my stance on that. Got to be able to figure out the Brown situation this year. Got to be able to figure out the Ravens situation this year. If you want to be, that upper echelon of the AFC teams and represent the AFC, you got to take care of your business in the toughest division. And I believe in all of football. And if you're able to make it through the AFC at a respectable, record, I think you're ready for whatever the playoffs could potentially throw at you. Listen, the Bengals are very fortunate to have the schedule that they have. They're very fortunate to have a quarterback that has been able to be available and finally play a full training camp, right? And be there for his team and see what that's like. I think that Joe Burrow is going to have a big year this year. If I have an area of concern for this team, obviously the pass rush is always something I'm looking at. But I'm looking at the running game too. I want to see the running game be established to some degree. We need to see it. We need to see that happen. We don't want to see Joe Burrow dropping back 50 times a game. We want to see it all come together. That's what I'm looking for. That would be the most ideal, perfect scenario for me. Let's see if the running game can work together. Let's see if that defensive line can, cause chaos for opposing quarterbacks. Because I believe that's the key for the Bengals. I think that's the key. They've got to be able to win in the trenches this year. They've got to be able to win in the trenches this year. Dan Horde, very good friend of mine, he said on his podcast, He praised Marius Mims. He praised what Marius Mims could potentially be. He talked about, the great debate between Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell. And he said it might have took a couple years, but he believes the Bengals got both finally. He says he believes Amarius Mims can turn into a Penei Sewell. Now, right off the bat, we won't be able to see that. Right off the bat, we are going to see Trent Brown out there. Trent Brown has done it at a very high level. The protection for Joe Burrow needs to do its thing this year.
Yeah.
All right. They need to be able to go out there and work together as a cohesive unit. I'm looking forward to seeing a cohesive offensive line, because what does that look like for this Bengals team to have a cohesive unit? Because to be honest with you, I think that maybe was the difference, of why they made the playoffs, made the Super Bowl that one year. They had their guys out there. All right. Now it kind of fell apart in the playoffs towards the end, but for that stretch in which they made the Super Bowl, they had a similar offensive line for the most part. And I think continuity is so important. I think continuity is so important on the offensive line. Hell, I think continuity is important on the defensive line. I'm excited to see it all come together. I'm excited to see Dan Pitcher and see what type of wrinkles he'll add to this offensive playbook. I'm excited to see if this thing marries together. That's what I'm looking forward to. Can the Bengals start off hot? And if they do, I think the Bengals are cooking. I'll keep saying this. The most important game on the Bengals schedule is the next one. And that might sound really, really cliche, right? Obviously, but you get the gift of opening up against the New England Patriots team. You get the gift of opening up against the New England Patriots team. But you even get a bigger gift week 2. You get the Kansas City Chiefs early. You get a chance to play the Kansas City Chiefs early. And the Chiefs, we know, they're a team that slow builds. They start off a little, they might still win, but they start off a little slow. They don't round into form until midseason. And the implications on that game, if you beat the Patriots and you go out and you beat the Chiefs, you no longer have to sit around and wait and look and say, hey, have the Chiefs lost yet? Or can we up them? No. You control that tiebreaker over them. You can say you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Therefore, it goes back to the same mantra I've been saying all offseason. You cut your own grass, you worry about cutting your neighbor's grass. You take care of business, right? Meaning, you beat the Patriots, you beat the Chiefs. You don't got to worry about the Chiefs because guess what? You beat the Chiefs already. So now you get to worry about the opponents that are on your schedule. You can win in your division, and guess what? The path to a number 1 seed looks so sweet. But guess what? It starts with taking care of your business. That's what the Bengals need to focus on, taking care of your business. And NFL fans, Bengals fans, Chiefs fans, we're off to a great treat to start the year. Week 2, Bengals, Chiefs. We don't got to wait for it. We ain't got to wait till week 8, week 9, week 10. Hell, I think some weeks has been later than that. We ain't got to wait to that. We get to know what's what. And if you're asking me, I'm a betting man. I am. I don't think this is the last time these two teams will face each other this season. I think the Bengals beat the Chiefs. I think the Bengals start off hot. I think Joe Burrow starts off hot. Listen, every single time Joe Burrow's dealt with us, injury setback, he's risen to the occasion. And, I hate to sound like I'm being a yes man or anything like that, but I just want to credit the Bengals. They did a fantastic job on their mini movie series that they had come out. I don't know if you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really, really well done. And, they talked about sort of what drives Joe Burrow. He was talking about that and how he was excited for this football season. It's the best how he felt and stuff like that. But you know what's funny? I sat down with Dejon Anthony, Bengals rookie defensive back, and Jermaine Burton, Bengals rookie wide receiver, for a sit-down interview yesterday. And Dejon said something to me that was very poignant. I asked him, I said, what is it like playing with Joe Burrow, playing against Joe Burrow? You know what he said to me? Gave me the most profound answer I never thought a rookie defensive back would ever say. I would think he would say, oh man, it's great. It's awesome playing against Joe, blah, 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 blah. Number one, let me just say this. Dejon Anthony's going places. He's going places. One of the best, and I've interviewed a lot of people, one of the best interviews I've ever done. It was an honest, raw, unfiltered conversation that we had. But he said to me, you want to know what I see when I see Joe Burrow? He said, when I look in Joe Burrow's eyes, I see a chip on the shoulder. I see that. He said, I see, in his exact words, I want to make sure I say this right, Marissa and Daniel. He said, I still see that game. And I said, what game? He said, the Super Bowl loss. I said, what? He said, the Super Bowl loss. How does a rookie from Ole Miss, who was not drafted by the Bengals, who was worried about playing in the SEC with Lane Kiffin, even thinking about that? How does that go there? How do you go there mentally, right? He says, I still see that game in Joe Burrow's eyes. He said, I could tell it still sits with him to this day. He said that's the way he approaches practice. And it wasn't a BS answer. It was a real raw moment. I forgot the cameras were even on for a second. He said, I still see that chip on Joe Burrow's shoulder. He said, you still see the fire in his eyes. You could tell that game still bothers him. And in his exact words, he said, other than that, I see a Super Bowl. He said, I see a Super Bowl when I look into Joe Burrow's eyes. He said he's on a mission this year. And man, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps when he said, because you hear a lot of conversations about Joe Burrow, what he was like at LSU and yada, yada, yada. And you hear people say, Joe is Joe. But to hear a guy on his team say, this year, a rookie, I see a championship. I see a fire. I see a chip on his shoulder. I still see that game. That tells you, or if it doesn't, it should tell you who the Bengals have at the quarterback position. So when I sit up on this show and I talk about Joe Burrow, I talk to a lot of people throughout the week. And a lot of people don't go into that depth. And the answer, and again, the interview is dropping tomorrow at 7 p.m. And I hope that you guys all enjoy the raw, honest conversation. But man, that got me fired up, man. That got me pumped up for what Joe Burrow is going to do this season, what this Bengals team is going to do this season, and the type of mentality that he's going to, bring to this team this year. He said the entire team is raring to go. We're locked in. And man, that was special to me when he said that. That was special to me when he said that through and through. But guys, I want to switch the conversation over here. But before I do, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Let's move the conversation on over to some of our favorite bets. So Daniel, with that being said, this is your thing.
Oh, wow. All right. I'll start this off. I'm going to be honest. This game, the props aren't, really up right now for Jamar Chase, for T. Higgins, rightfully so right now. But there's still a lot of good props. And let me just start off with one Patriots prop for anybody who is even thinking that before we get into the Bengals one. If you're even thinking of taking anything, I'm looking at Jacoby Brissett, and I'm looking actually at his completions. I'm looking at his completions over 19.5. It's on DraftKings right now. And the reason why I like that is you go back and look at his last 17 starts, albeit with different teams, but his last 17 starts, in 14 of them, he's gone over that number. When I look at the Patriots, they're either going to run the hell out of the ball, which means you take Ramondre Stevenson, or it's going to be a ton of dink and dunk to Demario Douglas, to Hunter Henry, to, Antonio Gibson out of the backfield, to Ramondre Stevenson out of the backfield. And I just look at 19.5. If anybody thinks the Bengals are going to blow the Patriots out, that's the prop you take, because then they're going to pass the ball a ton. Over 19.5 completions for Jacoby Brissett. But the next one, I'm going to be honest, I think you have to take Joe Burrow in this game. And I look at this, there's so many different ways to play this. His line's currently at 259 passing yards on FanDuel right now. And to me, the way I look at this, I think this is too low, Jimmy. I think this is way too low. And the reason why I'm really saying that is I think there's a world where they could run Zach Moss, 12, 14 times. Chase Brown could get some run. But I struggle to see how they don't throw the ball a lot. And let's say if they go up a ton, that's going to be from passing the ball. That's going to be from a first half of, holy shit, this offense is clicking. Oh, my God, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, getting the tight ends involved. That means they could go off for 150, 200 yards in the first half. Then there's the flip side of things. Okay, maybe they start off a little slower. Maybe this game is a lot closer heading into the fourth quarter, which means you get 4 quarters of throwing the ball. Give me over 259 passing yards, but I'm playing him 300-plus yards at plus 200 or plus 240. So that's $100 to win $240. So that's hands out easily my first favorite too. Anything from you guys? Any players specifically you guys like, whether it's matchups?
Mike Gesicki.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Gesicki. You can say, "Oh yeah, I'm with you."
No, I'm with you.
Okay, making sure we're still locked in together on this.
Yeah.
One. Mike Gesicki is Mike Gesicki is going to have a big day against the New England Patriots, and all those fantasy owners are probably going to be a little upset. I'm like, damn, why is he taking all the target shares in the red zone? Listen, I think that guy and Joe Burrow have been joined at the hip throughout the entire training camp process with the familiarity of the Pats defense. Obviously, They've got some good defenders there. The Christian Barmore is not going to be available for the New England Patriots on Sunday, which is a huge loss. But I still think that the Bengals are going to be able to get some really get some really good things done against this Patriots team. I'm not expecting it to be when we say blowout. That term is thrown around a little bit too much. I expect the Bengals could win by 2 scores. I think. I don't know if it's necessarily a blowout, but yeah,
it could be a closer game. Like I think that's what
I think it'll be close until it's not close.
I think it'll be one of those ones that's like feels close, but the Bengals were never going to like lose it.
Yes.
Kind of thing. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Because
it's week 1, like stuff.
Yeah, I think people right now, and this may just be the consensus, like a blowout is exactly like you said. They could final score be winning by 14 points, but that could mean you're up by 7 points heading into the fourth quarter while you're driving. And
I just think that Joe Burrow's touchdown, passing yards props is too low. I'll keep saying that. I think that's way too low. I think the Patriots do have a respectable run defense, and they were very good at stopping the run last year. And with the Bengals not having that unknown in the run game, I think this could be a game where we see Joe Burrow. We might see the normal Joe Burrow we're usually seeing, where he's dropping back a bunch and stuff like that. But hopefully we do get to see some semblance of what they can do, because you kind of want to see. You want to be able to see that they can actually do it. We didn't get to see Zach Moss during the preseason, right?
Yeah.
In the limited time we saw Chase Brown, was whatever. But ideally, the hope there is, they can kind of put it all together against the New England Patriots. I just think that the Patriots are going to try to take away something, and I think that something they take away is that going to be the running game for the Bengals. Yeah. Evan, I don't know if you want to touch on anything.
I didn't get a chance to really look through a lot of player props, which I generally really like to do. But I will give something for you. For most of you who enjoy betting probably have heard of Wong teasers before. I'm a big fan of them. That is basically any time where you're looking for games that have a 7 to 8.5 point favorite, or a 1.5 point to 2.5 point underdog. And the reasoning behind that is if you tease 6 points, you get through a lot of different key numbers, and most of the NFL games land within those key numbers of between 3, 7. And so if you tease these numbers out, if we say, hey, like the Bengals are an 8-point favorite, right? Well, if we tease away 6 points, now they're -2. So basically they got to win by a field goal. It's not often that games end with a 2-point difference, right?
Yeah.
We used to have a league where we would all draw straws for teams, and we would figure out who wins by either, scores 22, wins by 2, all that is different, right? So that's what trying to play the odds there the same way with the underdogs, right? If you're +1, +1.5, +2.5, you get 6 points, you get to over 7.5, 8.5, where you have that kind of touchdown difference, right? So looking at some of these games for these kind of Wong teasers, the Bengals and Patriots obviously -8. So if you tease that down for the Bengals, you get Bengals -2. So sort of a money line, because so much of the 0 to 2 point area is kind of empty calories that you pay for, right? So Bengals -2 would be the tease on that. Bills Cardinals, that ends up being a 0.5 point favorite for the Bills, basically a money line. I think their offensive line issues with Arizona just end up killing them. The defense is not quite remade, even though Jonathan Gannon has them playing really well. I do like the Cardinals in a couple other spots this season, but opener against Buffalo, that's not it. So that's Bengals -2, Bills at a 0.5 point, and then Seahawks Broncos, man. Just go ahead and give me the Seahawks money line. I love what they have with Geno Smith, with Jackson Smith and Jigbo, with DK Metcalf, with Kenneth Walker. They have too many weapons, and then you add a great defensive head coach coming in from Baltimore, having all these different talents. You have so many good, talented secondary pieces as well. I just think it's going to be overwhelming for a Broncos team that is still trying to find its footing with a lot of new pieces, with not great receiving talent, with a quarterback who's going to be a rookie in his first start. So give me the Seahawks money line, give me the Bills money line, and give me the Bengals -2 as kind of a just generally wrapped up teaser.
All right. Evan in his betting era. All right.
I'll bring it every once in a while.
Okay. All right. Okay. Want to thank you guys again for tuning in, spending your Wednesday evenings with us. If you can do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss when we go live or upload content from the TWSN studios. We literally have content going out each and every single day. And when we say every single day, we mean Monday through Sunday. Content non-stop every single day. You Know Thy Enemy is coming out, I believe, sometime either tomorrow or Friday. You have a special that we did yesterday where we sat down with Jermaine Burton, Dejon Anthony. Take a look. All time now, man.
That you think gonna work?
Huh?
That you think gonna work?
You do I think it's going, what'd you say?
You think it's gonna work?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh.
100%. Slot fade with Jermaine Burton. Up the
Oh.
scene, 100%.
Oh.
100%.
Oh.
Oh, through and through. Yeah.
Now we in cover 2. Now what?
All right, so we going. I'm checking it down to Zach Moss. I'm gonna have to check it down, man. I have to make it work, man. I don't know, but so make sure you guys tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. It'll be premiered on the YouTube channel. I sat down with Dejon Anthony, Jermaine Burton. We discussed a lot. It's definitely one of those can't miss things. It's a new show that we are doing, that we are bringing to the city, called the Sit Down with Malik Wright. Every 2 weeks or so, maybe every week. I have no idea. It really is fluid.
It's fluid.
I'm going to be sitting down with players. We'll be starting off in Cincinnati, talking with some Bengal players. We've got a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline. Shout out to my guy Joey Cook, CEG, as well, for helping facilitate all this and making this thing possible. But we hope that you guys are going to be able to get a unique look into these players and who they are. We have over 120 people watching us live. You guys can do us a favor. Give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We only have 57 likes on the video. That's all we ask, that you guys simply give this video a like. But guess what? Bengals week 1 is here. Bengals football is here. We hope that you guys are as pumped as we are. I'll be live after every single Bengals game, of course, after the press conference. So you guys, I know people like to tune into those and kind of digesting everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole 9 yards. But I hope that you guys spend your Sunday afternoons or evenings with me as we discuss and recap the Bengals game. Remember, we have a new show called the Sit Down with Malik Wright morning show that takes place Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern time to 11:30 Eastern time, as we will be giving you our favorite bets. We'll be talking you through all the latest storylines in the NFL. Good friend of mine, Benjamin Albright, joined the show the other day. But I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are as pumped as we are to bring all this coverage to you. Literally, TWSN to the moon, and nonstop content for the entire football season. But until